Sony, are they late to the party or just starting it with the arrival of the Bravia 9? Up next.
I've seen things people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me as we check out the brand new Sony Bravia 9. This is the most anticipated TV in many years. We saw a glimpse at CES. Then we saw it at the Sony Global launch in LA. I saw it yet again at the Sony Roadshow in Manhattan. Finally, hands-on at our good friends at Value Electronics, who have it a few weeks early at 65 inches. Now we're gonna do a brief unboxing in store, show you the design, show you how well it's packaged. It's packaged very similarly to the 85-inch mini LEDs from Sony's past, which I thought was interesting at 65 inches. We'll go through the setup, the build quality, the backlit remote, the settings, a lot of demo material showing its peak brightness, XR Clear backlight master drive, and then we'll do some gaming. We'll also follow up in the next week or so with the 85-inch and 75-inch. Without further ado, let's check out the Sony Bravia 9. Thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, let's do it. Bravia 9 being unboxed by Leanne and Wendy Zone of Value Electronics. Showing you the legs that can be put in two different positions and two different heights, out wide and nearly flush. Showing you what comes in the box is the manual, the remote, some cable management. The stands are solid, they are premium, and they do have a flat, contoured look to them. The remote is backlit, which I'll show you in a few minutes. The main reason for wanting to show you the unboxing of the Bravia 9 is that it's boxed very well. Only the larger mini LEDs in Sony's lineup and 8K displays of the past have been boxed this well. You can see the reinforced cardboard in the front, the little posts that are there to protect the TV. There is covering on both sides. The screen is not exposed at all. Now the Bravia 9 is a mini LED, taking place of last year's X95L. And in my opinion, it does more than that. It takes the place of last year's X95L and the Z9K, which is the 8K Master Series from a few years before. There is no Z Series for the US this year, much like last year. So I do feel the Bravia 9 is taking the place of both. Taking a quick look at the stand, and see how it lays flat. And I will show you the different positions or the different options. As I mentioned, very well packed. This is very important when you're buying a premium TV. Very solid build quality, very high end. And yes, I feel guilty watching Leanne and Wendy lift the TV while I hold my camera. The speakers are there, you can see them quickly. Unfortunately, my panning over the HDMI inputs is rather blurry, and you see the separate positions for the stand. There are the speakers. You do have that backlight master drive. You have XR clear. Watching Leanne put in the flush position out wide. And I will pan over to the narrow position as well. For me, this is my favorite position, having it flush. It looks very premium, which I'll show you in a few minutes. And there's the inside position. There you can see 2 notches where it goes within the body. Cable management goes over the top of it, or not to say it's cable management, where there is pieces of the plastic that go over the legs so you can't see them. The cable is not detachable, though it looks like it is. And there's the display sitting on a stand in the back. Now, I apologize that I'm not going over the build quality and the design. It's very tricky filming in the store at this time of day. It's very bright. Try to get the TV in a place where it can have less light, and the store was very busy. You can see how it stands there, and again, how well it's packaged and protected. Now you can see from the design, and I showed you the back, it looks very much like the Master Series of the past. And before we even get into any demo material, there's a lot of talk in the comments about Master Series or the lack of Master Series. That is nothing other than Sony simplifying the names, as you've seen with Bravia 9, Bravia 8, Bravia 7. Master Series is not delineating quality. It's not something where there's less work put in to the displays because they're not called Master Series. I've heard that straight from them. It is simply simplifying the words, changing the names. It has the same build quality, same structure, same high-end feel. Pulling the plastic off, and you can already see that even without going into anything, the local dimming's already excellent. Now we're going to fly through the setup. It's the same setup that the A95L had last year. Same Google TV, so nothing really to show you here. We'll move right into the intro. We're also going to then show you exactly how it looks right out of the box. I love showing this beginning demo from Sony. You can even see with that Bravia logo, the local dimming is very effective, even at 65 inches. I was happy to report the Bravia 7 was also excellent at 65 inches. Running through these settings rather quickly. Again, these are the familiar usual suspects that you'll see with Sony TVs. And here we are with the Bravia 9. Absolutely gorgeous out of the box. What you're going to hear throughout this video is not just peak brightness or bright or backlight master drive. You're going to hear clarity, and that's the biggest difference from most mini LEDs on the market. What Sony does best is color clarity. And the minute I saw the first demo, even though we are in its out of the box mode, and we'll show you the different settings we have to check and disable, it is stunning out of the box, and I want to show you that because that's what you're going to see when you get home. Quickly going to show you the backlit remote. It'll be a little blurry, but I want to show you that in the dark. And then moving out of the dark and just showing you the design, how the TV looks on the stand. And there's the remote again. But I love its presence. Now, if any knock on the stand, I'd rather have the feet kind of the other way so I can put the TV closer to the edge, but that is the design. Now going into its settings, moving through the settings, showing you the different presets. Now, those of you that know me, it's all about flexibility of image. It's showing you the options and how much the TV can look accurate, vivid, standard, how the presets change the image. Now the Eco Dashboard, one of the power saving features we want to disable, but it does give you a lot of options. There's also an ambient light sensor that I'm not going to show off right now, but I will go back and disable it as it's in a different place if you're not familiar with the A95L or the 2024 TV lineup. It's in a different place if you're coming from a 2023 Sony TV. Now throughout the video, we're going to go through many different presets. Some you'll see, some you won't. The cinema mode is very bright. Professional mode is replacing custom mode from before. It is their most accurate preset. However, the professional mode is still very bright. Love that mode, and I stay in it a good amount during this entire video. Though I like to show a lot of punchy presets, the professional mode is impressive enough to remain in it for a lot of the video. What I do like about Sony is you could wander into vivid and the image is still very accurate. Well, as accurate as a vivid can be, I would still tone that down, but going in and showing you the different tone mapping, gradation preferred, brightness preferred. We will leave gradation preferred every time it's in a preset that calls for it. Brightness preferred will change if it's in vivid or standard. Otherwise, it'll remain in gradation preferred. The local dimming I will change to high. It is in medium out of the box. Now in the movie presets, or streaming presets as we should call them now, there is a lot of flexibility. Live color, there's a lot of ways to change the image. Reality creation, smooth gradation, motion, clarity. There's a lot you can change, which is very important. Sony's signature has always been director's intent. Now it's bringing cinema home. And this is supposed to mimic the reference monitor, their new reference monitor. But even again, in its most aggressive presets, it still looks more accurate. Now you can see out of the box, it went from being a little bit greenish to much more accurate just being in professional. And you can also make professional more aggressive. I'm also gonna move into this next demo here. I'm gonna leave it saturated and vivid. Then I'm gonna back down and show you how much the image can change just by using the presets. For me, it's very important for you as the consumer to see what the TV is capable of. I don't adhere to one preset or another. Some of you like your TVs very bright. You like motion interpolation. You like a lot of this processing on. I'm here to tell you, you can use it, you can disable it, but I want to show you it all enabled and disabled. Now keep in mind, it looks gorgeous, and we have the ambient light sensor still on. And it still looks bright, still looks very dynamic. And clarity, you can hear that from me. Fine detail, shadow detail, and clarity. You're gonna see this demo again once I disable the ambient light sensor. I went back and disabled it. It's in a different place in the menu than it is what I'm used to from the 2023 lineup. Also, the ambient light sensor isn't a power saving feature. It's something that brings the TV into its most accurate preset when the room changes. It doesn't just dim the TV, it just puts it in a more accurate preset to save your eyes and make it more pleasing. I actually use it on all of my Sony TVs. You'll see me disable it right now. Now it's in a different subsection. In TVs from 2023 from Sony, it would just be within the settings. This is a feature I would leave on if the lighting conditions change much in your room. You can be in a very vivid preset, and when it gets dark, it will tone it down to a more accurate. It won't power save, it'll just make the image more accurate. It'll feel like your TV is being calibrated on the fly, which I actually like the feature, and I keep it on, as I mentioned, on my A80L and my A80J. Going through these presets, I want to give a very special thanks to the amazing Jennifer Gala. Most of the content you see within this video is from her and her second channel, the HDR Super Channel. Thank you, Jen. Check the description below for the links and consider becoming a Patreon to Jen's channel. Amazing work, brings out the very best in the Bravia 9. We're going to go back to that initial demo. And why this demo is challenging is the fast transitions, but you can also see the detail in the back. You can see the windows behind them. Right there. So where other mini LEDs may crush that out if the blacks are too good, you would lose the detail. Here you get the best of both worlds. High specular, bright highlights, shadow detail, smooth transitions without any trailing at all. The local dimming wasn't just about keeping blooming at a minimum. It was about the contrast ratio. It was about the local dimming crawling around the image, going into it, giving you the micro contrast that only OLEDs can deliver. It's absolutely stunning. And this is the 65. Why do I say that? Is that typically the mini LEDs get better as they get larger. And I can already highly recommend this 65-inch. I like this demo from Jen for motion, for quick transition in motion. Now we are in the professional preset in this particular demo. Again, fast transitions. To also see the local dimming in action, we're going to be in standard for this preset, which is a brighter preset, and you see how the local dimming is still amazing. Now using food, we're going to go into these next different presets out of standard into IMAX. Trying to show a little something or a little bit of everything in regards to the presets. But what Sony is best at is it can give you, again, that flexibility, that ability to make the TV look however you like. However, there still seems to be a bit of accuracy everywhere you go. Now quickly, what you might see on the screen is some artifacting from the anti-reflection, which comes off as a little bit of a laser. You can see it there on the left. It would happen from time to time as there is a mirror behind me. So it didn't happen often, but that I think is coming off of a mirror. So that's not X-wide viewing angle. The X-wide viewing angle seems to be fine. The contrast ratio seems to be fine off angle. But I did notice that little bit of artifact. You can see it across the screen. So if you wonder why there's a little bit of a laser shot, that's what it is. So I want to talk about that really quick because it does show up from time to time. That said, the TV is very bright and should be more than adequate in a bright room, but something just to take note of. But back to the local dimming, here's a transition from coming out of black to a high specular sunlight shot. I cannot wait to shoot the 85, as every piece, I think the largest I've seen of the Bravia 9 was 75. I may have seen the 85 with the Bravia 9 soundbar. That was the most impressive version I saw playing a demo of Venom. So I can't wait to get my hands on the 85. Should be next week or the week after. I will also follow up with the Bravia 7 and the Bravia 8 tomorrow is when I'll be filming the Bravia 8 OLED. Again, moving through the presets. Now for our black bar torture test, we will stay dead center for now. We're in professional, move around through the presets. I actually like the calm preset. Moving into vivid. This is where we are going to push the local dimming as we are in vivid, where the blooming should be evident. Still looks good. Getting up, showing you off angle. Black as night. Looks fantastic. So the local dimming behaves as advertised. Is there absolutely no blooming? I can't promise that. There is going to be some blooming if you get up very, very close to some objects. But I was very impressed with how it performed. Again, its local dimming is designed to give you that contrast in the image. That infinite contrast or micro contrast that OLEDs do provide. This is as close as you're going to get to an OLED, in my opinion. Not in terms of its overall contrast, but the deep detail within the image. It gives you that granular detail is what I'm talking about. XR Clear, when it was introduced, the biggest difference was within OLEDs. You had that infinite contrast and XR Clear. I do feel like with the Bravia 9, you are getting that same duo, however, with a very bright mini LED with a very high peak brightness. All while remaining very accurate and retaining shadow detail, keeping blooming to a minimum. Why I call it the replacement for the Z9K? Because in my opinion, what you're getting is the peak brightness of a Z9K and a better local dimming than last year's X95L, which was the best local dimming ever seen on a Sony LED or mini LED. So for me, it's a hybrid of both. The Z9K is amazing, very bright, but unwieldy in its local dimming. And here quickly in a vivid preset showing you how bright and dynamic the image can look. Now in these demos here, it's about vibrancy and color and how versatile the Bravia 9 is. But as I mentioned a million times in the video already, it's the clarity that keeps jumping out. You could easily tell somebody, hey, this thing's at 8K, and I think they would believe it. It's that granular detail. Now, a special shout out to Robert and Wendy Zahn of Value Electronics for allowing me to film in the store. Please consider making your next AV purchase through them. Check the description below for all their information. Let them know that Brian at Brian's Tech Therapy sent you. It's amazing that they get these TVs 2-3 weeks early, with the Bravia 7 3 weeks early. Now, the previous demo was in standard. The one before that was in vivid. Now we're back in professional. Now, again, if you're used to last year's A95L, same whole system and UI as that display. And other than the X-wide viewing angle, which I'm obviously not a fan of, as I mentioned before, it does well in all environments. It is very bright, but it doesn't feel overly bright where it's too much or garish. It does feel appropriate, meaning it's a brightness that is used. It makes sense. And brightness with purpose was the title of my last video. It's not there just to be there. It's not there just for numbers. It does have a purpose. Now, also special shout out to those of you watching this video live. They premiere all of these videos. That's why I leave them long as the community watches them. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and supporting me and being the best community on the platform. What are your honest thoughts on the Bravia 9? What are you thinking of Sony's direction this year? Remember, the A95L QD OLED carries over. They're not moving away from OLEDs. They go year by year. They do have a path in what they're looking to do. There's a reason they're with a mini LED at this point, due to their new reference monitor, which is out there making content right now that'll utilize the peak brightness of the Bravia 9. Again, brightness with purpose. There's a reason they're going for that this year versus last year's X95L. which was very refined. However, it wasn't the brightest mini LED they've ever produced. Now, many of you are also anxious to see the Bravia 9 go against the other displays that are in this store right now, as well as last year's A95L. Keep in mind, I think it's irresponsible to take a TV before it has its own video and start comparing it to others. I'm going to give it its time to shine. I think when you're viewing TVs, you should view them the first time by themselves. See how it looks in a vacuum. What you think of it before you put it against an OLED or a larger 8K TV. But you will see comparisons to the Bravia 7, the A95L, also from the other manufacturers. But as far as its movie, streaming, upscaling, XR Clear, backlight master drive, easy to recommend. Now moving into gaming, which is the most important aspect to me. All the usual suspects are here. I will show you the game bar. It's the same as last year's A95L. So VRR, auto low latency mode, all that is here, the crosshairs, everything you'll see in this game bar. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through that here. I'll do a separate gaming video on the Bravia 9 once the 85 comes in. I'm more concerned with its picture quality being a mini LED, flexibility of image. How good does the local dimming perform? Does it have any real feature, or I should say function at all in gaming? You do have 3 different presets this year, like last year's A95L, which would be missing on the 2023 lineup. FPS, RTS, and standard. I prefer standard the most. But you do have that flexibility. We are going to go into the picture mode preset to see how flexibility the image is. Also, the sound of the Bravia 9 is very good. I should have talked about that earlier. You do have the acoustic ability with the Bravia 9 soundbars, or the new quad works very well as a center channel. We'll cover that again when we do the larger sizes. Going through the settings in gaming. HDR tone mapping from brightness preferred to gradation preferred does change it a little bit, but not as impactful as it does in regular content. Actually prefer it being gradation preferred. TV doesn't need to be any brighter. Now, black level has changed. This is to make the TV brighter in those areas where you want to see. I rather see black adjust here. That's missing from the regular presets. Local dimming does have a function. It does work. Again, for me, it's not as impactful as the other presets. However, as I show you in other later demos in gaming, there isn't any extra blooming because of it. I would like advanced contrast enhancer to be here. I don't like that that's removed, but with among most mini LED manufacturers, that's taken out. Live color is impactful, not nearly as impactful as it is in the other presets. Again, in gaming, all of these things add processing, which can add lag, which is why they're not as impactful. This is just my opinion. I will tell you, well, reality creation is also something very specific to Sony. Because of XR Clear, you'll be able to see me ramp it all the way up. This is where you'll start to see noise. I'll show you manual and off. It's something a lot of you like, and it's something I would use and do use on my OLEDs. But I'll tell you that the Bravia 9's game mode's gorgeous. It's better than the Bravia 7, expands upon it, and the Bravia 7's game mode was also beautiful. So for those of you that game that are concerned not just about performance, but the best looking game mode, it is one of the best looking game modes out there, even for a mini LED. Showing you the Souls game, I want to show you the transition from very dark to light and look around the elements on the HUD, and there is no blooming at all. Ghost of Tsushima, same thing. I recently did a video with the Hisense U8N, and a lot of the detail was lost. It was very dark. So the Bravia 9 keeps it bright, but also has the appropriate contrast ratio and shadow detail. Returnals is also a nightmare for the heads-up display in the corners, but the specular highlights are what matters here. It's the flash, it's the hits that really stand out. Again, the heads-up display, no haloing or blooming around them. Love the game mode, and being somebody who games even more than movies and streaming, I could recommend it for gaming on the appearance of the game mode alone. Showing some Tekken, again, specular highlights, the explosions, very colorful, very vibrant, and as I mentioned, very clear. Now, while XR Clear isn't much of a factor in regards to gaming, its processor is still top-notch. Where mini LEDs can look soft and muddy with the processing removed, that is not the case here. Now, Dirt 5 is a very hard game to show on mini LEDs. Things tend to fade out or be too bright. Not the case at all with the Bravia 9. You'll see the specular highlights in the sun in a lot of these shots as I'm inside the car. You can also see the interior of the car is without blooming as I go in and out of the different views. But it's blue, the sky has detail, where at times with a very bright mini LED, this is a very hard game. It's hard to have the detail. It'll just be bright, but the clouds will kind of disappear. In some of these shots, you'll see the sun poking through. That's that specular highlight. There it is, that it's known for. Very impressed by it. The game mode, as I mentioned, is good enough, something that I would definitely enjoy. Now, the question many of you have is, I'm coming from an 83-inch OLED. I would not move to a mini LED. However, I will see how the 85-inch is, because I would have to go up in size. The game mode is good looking enough that I may make the move. Everything else in terms of its image is phenomenal. We will see the 85-inch in a week or two. That is the gaming portion. It is now done. In closing, the Bravia 9 is very easy to recommend. The challenge is it's going to be very expensive. For many of you, there's so much competition in the mini LED space from other manufacturers, but no one's going to have that processing and that build quality all mixed together. It will be the best TV for streaming and movies. The game mode, again, is gorgeous. It sounds very good. Keep in mind, this is the 4K flagship. The QD OLED is also a flagship, but this is their main flagship this year. Very bright, very vibrant, extremely accurate, and extremely clear. I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Love you guys. Take care.